Hello and welcome. So today's episode is a really special one. I'm really excited to do it. You might remember if you listened to an episode I did couple of months ago now, actually, with a very good friend of mine and a hospitality entrepreneur called Maria Klimchuk. It went down an absolute storm. I think it's actually ranking number one episode out of all the ones that I've done, which is amazing. I figured that you enjoy having a guest on, you enjoy hearing their stories. It was time to pull out another one to chat to us on the show. I feel a bit like Oprah saying that. But I thought, it'd be nice to have somebody on to tell us all about her journey and her experience as a female entrepreneur, so you can see how and why she did it, and then she can give you some advice based on her experience as well. And what I'm loving about all these different women that I'm meeting through her Handmade Hustle and interviewing on this show is that they may all do something entirely different to us, whatever we do. But ultimately, we're all the same. We all face the similar challenges, we have the same fears, and we can 100% relate to each other, no matter what industry we're in. Because at the end of the day, we all have one thing, at the very least, in common, and that is that we're strong, determined women who want to work for ourselves and want to succeed. We're passionate, we're committed, we're driven, we're risk takers. They've got more to come on that next week, actually, so don't miss that one. And, we're usually always knackered, but we don't quit. In fact, this is the actual catchphrase of my guest today. And I mentioned this was a special episode. And the reason why is because the woman that I'm interviewing today is actually my sister. My older sister by 22 months. She's my ride or die. She's my protector, the person who knows me inside out, and vice versa. A fellow mother, a counsellor when things get a bit tough, you name it. We've gone through everything together. We might live like 200 miles away from each other now. We have done for quite a few years. But we're still as close as ever. And we help each other through this unpredictable journey of life. Emma Gregory is her name. And she runs her own recruitment company called Urbanberry Recruitment with her business partner, Caroline. And they specialise in the travel sector. So Emma works with both job seekers, so people looking for their perfect role, as well as business clients, so, companies who are looking for the perfect candidate to fulfill a job role. So really, she's a bit like Alan Sugar, except, she hasn't got a net worth of 1.2 billion yet, like Lord Sugar, but she's definitely priceless to me. Now, the only problem that I envisage with having my sister as a guest on the show is that you might struggle to tell us apart because we sound so similar. So I might have to dial up the northern accent and she'll have to dial up her southern twang so you can tell who's who. So without any further ado, here's my interview with my sister and female entrepreneur, Emma Gregory. Hello.
Hello.
We're on. That was great. Well, I'm just laughing because we've already tried this once, haven't we? This is round number 2. We were
just been speaking for 5 minutes.
6 minutes exactly. And it just came up on my phone and it's like recording has stopped. I was like, what? Oh, anyway, it sounds clearer. It sounds better. So, we're good to go again.
First of all, was what I said good? Because I'll say that again if it was.
It was really good.
All right. Okay.
I think we should try and repeat everything that you said.
Right, I'll try again. Okay.
I was just saying before, we talk all the time on the phone, and it's like second nature, obviously. My favourite part of the week is actually our Monday moan that we have every Monday. That could be a podcast in itself. I feel like maybe we've had a bit of a warm up now.
Yes.
So, and we know in those 6 minutes we actually managed to do it without swearing as well, which was great. Or talk about 95% of the things that we normally do. So we'll get back on it. Try again. So what we were talking about was tell us a little bit about your background, where you've come from. Obviously, you're a female entrepreneur now, but you weren't always. So tell us a little bit about how you came to be in this position.
Okay, I'll try and condense it. So as I was saying, I kind of from school didn't really know what direction I wanted to go in. Was never one of those people who always knew they wanted to be a vet or a nurse or anything like that, and could follow a very clear career path. I had no idea. So all I knew really was that I wanted to get into the world of work. Once I left college, didn't want to go to uni. And I was fascinated by the travel industry and had loved the whole vibe, the planes, airports, holidays, all of that. And I thought, this really is something that gets me excited. So I got a job with British Airways, just in their call centre, and I did really enjoy that. And it was a really good introduction to the world of airline travel. I got some great perks with that. Used to go off on weekends and weeks and trips and things, made the most of it. So that was really good fun. But I did definitely always want to be cabin crew, and I got a job as cabin crew. 4 years of that, again, loved it. It was really, and actually I think that was really confidence building for me. Looking back now, I think that was a real turning point in myself personally and professionally, because all of a sudden you're so responsible and so visible.
Oh yeah, the things you used to come back with and what you used to tell us, the situations you dealt with.
Absolutely, you wouldn't believe it. And I was only young, early 20s, so it was a big thing. So I think definitely for me as a person, that was something that gave me a lot of confidence, and I will always be grateful to that job for that. But everything comes to its natural end, and a friend offered me a job working for them. Back in the travel industry, but booking the travel for bands who were going on tour. So,
this is my favourite job you ever had. I'll let you talk about it, then I've got a funny story. Favourite job ever. Changed my life, this job. Go on.
No, it changed mine as well, really, to be fair, because I met my husband through that job. But, I lived in Stockport, he lived in London. So after a year or so, I decided to relocate, which was a big decision and a hard one. And even though it was the right thing, and I was really excited about doing something different and moving away and, starting a new life. Well, I was trying to get away from anything, but it was just, it was exciting. It was different. And but it's not easy, leaving friends and family and starting again, leaving a job that I was happy in as well. So when I got to London, everything was different. I was getting the tube 5 days a week. It was really, really busy and intense, and I just felt a little bit overwhelmed, if I'm honest. And I thought, I need to take a step back. I need to actually start and do something that's a little bit less stressful for me. So I found a job that I could drive to, which felt more natural to me, because I'd been driving to work. Yeah,
I would miss that. I would miss that every day. I don't know how you did that for so long.
Yeah, I really struggled at first. I think it was just too much too soon. Maybe if I'd eased myself into it. But anyway, but this job was in recruitment, so it was totally different than anything I'd done before. And actually, I was all right at it, and I quite enjoyed talking to people. And started the job that I was in. It wasn't a traditional recruitment model. You didn't earn commission, but I started hearing all these stories of people who were earning really good commissions in recruitment. And I thought, I'm placing all these people into jobs, and I'm not getting the commission here that I should be.
Yeah.
And I missed the travel sector. So I found a job that combined it, that was in travel recruitment. So I was essentially helping companies find staff. And because I knew the industry as well, and I could talk about it, I'd done the jobs that I was recruiting for, it made real sense. And I did really well. But time ticks on. I got married, I had my first child, and I wanted to go back to work part-time.
So it all changes for everybody, isn't it, at this point? When you have a child, everything shifts.
Yeah, and your focus is different. And also, I was in a place where I didn't have a support network around me of friends and family like that.
Definitely.
I didn't have parents around the corner to help, or I was reliant on nurseries. My husband at the time worked 5 days a week in London. He would start later than me in the morning, so he'd do the nursery drop off, but he finished later, so I had to do pick up. And I had to battle to actually get my job back part-time. It really wasn't something that they wanted to do.
They weren't supportive at all, were they, really, of that?
No, and I just don't think they thought it could work. They didn't think that recruitment was a job you could do part-time. And I very much thought you could, because I'd sit there and think, well, the 5 days that I'm normally here, take out the times that I'm chatting to people, or not really doing what I should be doing, or on my lunch break and stuff. I'm pretty sure I could condense that into 3 days. But, they weren't keen. Anyway, it was agreed and I went back, but it was a struggle. And I found that come 4:30, I was having to make sure I was out the door at 4:30 to get on the bus, to then get on the tube, to get back to make sure I was picking up from nursery by 6, before you were getting called or getting charged. Yeah, it was stressful. And the job itself was stressful because you're on targets.
Yeah.
So, you're constantly compared to other people in the business, and recruitment is very cutthroat, and it's a very reactive job. You've got to be very quick at getting on things. You can't think, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. A good job.
Definitely. You have to be a certain sort of person, I think, to do this job, and it's perfect for you. You know
Yeah,
how to just, you're very quick at acting, you know your stuff inside out. It does
yeah,
take a certain person to do it. I couldn't
yeah.
do it. I know you're
It's
really
not
good at it.
easy.
No.
Technically, it's not difficult. If you looked on paper at what it is, you don't need a load of qualifications, but you do need to have the right mindset. And I did
Yeah.
have that. Because I'm quite driven by money. So,
Well,
and,
exactly. Yeah.
and it's not a bad thing. I
No.
think that we are always told, oh, God, don't say that. Well, I am. And it's not for having material things. I don't care about things like that. I just
Yeah.
like to feel comfortable, and I still like to travel, and still like to, and now introduce my family to that as well. So, it made sense to me to keep wanting to earn money. Anyway, I then got pregnant with my second. And I think after that, during that pregnancy, I knew that I wasn't going to be going back to that place of
Yeah.
work. I thought, I can't do it with two. I just can't. And a friend of a colleague of mine at the time, she was also feeling the same. And we sort of had half jokes about it. You sat around, we get to the pub at lunch and sat around going, God, imagine if we just did this for ourselves, would we be able to? We had numerous conversations like that, but they were always flippant comments. And I don't think either of us ever really wanted to say, let's do it,
Take the
because,
leap. Let's do it. Yeah.
it felt like that was just too much of a risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
How could we ever do it ourselves? We don't know what we're doing. We're not business women. We just want to work for someone else for an easy life. But I did leave after my second, and then she left as well and was pregnant with her second. And we just thought, if we don't do it now, I don't think we're ever going to.
You were very much in the same position in your lives at that point, then,
Exactly.
weren't you?
Yeah, we were in the same position. We'd worked together for years. We knew each other inside out in terms of how we work, and we knew that we both had the same mentality, which I think is very important if you are in a partnership with somebody.
Absolutely.
You have to be of the same work ethic, because it can't work if one of you is not putting in the 50%.
Yeah, and you two work fabulous together. Her name's Caroline, isn't it?
Yeah, Caroline. Yeah,
She's the other half of Urbanberry, and we will go into we'll go into Urbanberry very, very soon. I mean, I love your background, I love your story, because it's all based around travel. Like, you have always been the sister that you've had the travel bug. You love going
yeah.
places. You've been to a lot of places.
Mm.
Like you say, you're introducing your family to that now. But just before we move on to Urbanberry, I just have to tell people about the best experience of our
Yeah.
lives that I just mentioned. So when Emma had this job as the travel consultant, she got so many good perks. I mean, they were fabulous. Anyway, she took us to meet, both me and her, on like a bit of a sisters road trip, and we went to LA and San Francisco. And when we were in LA, we got to this hotel that, I'm guessing, did you book the hotel?
Yeah.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
so you booked this particular hotel. Anyway,
Well,
when we got there,
we used to book it a lot for the bands, because
that's right, yeah.
it was like the VIP stayed there.
Yeah,
So
so
they
apparently
gave,
it's one of the most exclusive hotels in
yeah,
LA.
yeah,
That's yeah, it's called the Chateau Marmont.
very
For
famous.
anybody that's heard of it, very famous. There's like scandals that have gone on there, like
Oh yeah.
back in the 50s, 60s. It's well known for celebrities behaving badly, like,
Mm.
isn't it? I mean, I was
Mhm.
reading before about, obviously, Marilyn Monroe stayed there, Leonardo DiCaprio stays there regularly. Apparently, Johnny Depp and Kate Moss have had sex in every one of the 63 rooms in the Chateau Marmont,
Well,
which
that's
would
nice
include,
to know.
well, yeah, that would include our penthouse suite, which I'll be getting to
Yeah.
shortly.
Yeah.
And also, Jean Harlow and Clark Gable had an affair in there.
Really?
Yes, apparently so.
Mm.
Anyway, we get to check in, and the man on reception, I remember him saying to Emma, "Oh, I hope you'll be happy with your room." And we were just like, "All right, yeah, thanks." So we get the key, and then did someone take us up? Can't remember.
Yeah.
We got up to the room, didn't we? And we got up and up and up in this lift, and we were on the top floor. And we thought, "Hang on a minute." And then as he opened the door, it was the penthouse suite, which is like the best room in the whole of the
It
hotel. I'm
wasn't
not
even a
kidding you. It
room, was it? It was
wasn't a
like,
room. It's like a
it,
house.
it had a corridor going into it, and then rooms off it, and
Rooms off
it
it,
was
and a
unbelievable.
balcony that you could park about 8 cars on. It was huge. And the best thing about it was, at that weekend, it was the weekend of the MTV Music Awards. So it was swarming with celebrities. And
Oh God.
we were in the penthouse suite getting ready for our night out, weren't we? And we were
Yeah.
looking down and we could see all the paparazzi below. And they're
Yeah.
all snapping pictures. And we saw Justin Timberlake.
Wow.
We saw Matthew Perry, didn't we, as well in the
Yeah,
bar.
yeah.
And
There's
I
Gran.
remember
Mm.
everybody looking up thinking, who's in the penthouse? Who's in
Yeah,
the penthouse? And it was the Lindas, which was our maiden name at the time. And we were there drinking champagne in our dressing gowns, weren't we, pretending that we were
on this
wedding.
enormous terrace that had sun
Yeah.
lounges, and
Oh, God,
I've
yeah.
seen it in a film recently, or a program. There's a TV program on recently, and it was there was a scene shot in that room. And I said to Lee,
No
my husband,
way.
I was like, that was the room that me and Joanne were in, and he was
No
like, what? I
way.
said, that was our room, and it had like,
Really?
they had all the stationery, had like my name embossed on it, didn't
Did.
it? Remember?
Oh,
Like,
my God,
and it was
yeah.
just, it was unbelievable. Like
It's another
we just
level.
laughing the whole time that here we were in this, there's celebrities, actual celebrities staying in that hotel, and we were
Yeah.
in that suite, and
And we
yeah,
paid zero. We didn't pay a
yeah, no.
penny for it. And that per night, I don't know how much that must have been a
Oh,
night. A couple of
not in
grand.
our budget now, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. And I remember that evening, or I don't know, we'd been on the beach that day. I was like
Yeah.
bright red sunburn. And I remember you saying, oh, I need to go and move the car or something. Do you want to come with me? And I said, oh, all right then. But I was tired. I was sandy. I was like, say, sunburn. And then we got in the lift and it was only Keanu Reeves in there with
Yeah.
us
Keanu Reeves. Yeah.
in
Stood
the lift.
next to us. Yeah. I
And then we
know.
were just looking at each other going, is that
Getting his motorbike, wasn't
Yeah, he was. Oh, lovely man.
he?
Anyway, so that was my favourite story of my lifetime. Love the Chateau Marmont. And also on the way back from our night out, when we got out of our taxi, all the paparazzi were there waiting to see who was arriving at the Chateau Marmont.
Yeah.
And
Ready
when
with
they
the
saw,
cameras poised.
yeah, they saw it was me and you, they just put their cameras down. They didn't
Yeah.
know us. So they just walked off and we moved on to the next car that pulled up. Best holiday ever. Anyway, that's what it's about today. But I had to tell that story because I love it. And I think
It's
it
good.
really makes me and you. It sums us up perfectly, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know. It was good.
Um, so Urbanberry. Urbanberry is the name of your company.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what you and Caroline do on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. So we recruit for the corporate travel sector. So if you're not familiar with recruitment or what that entails, essentially we help people get jobs. So our
Yeah.
clients, when we refer to clients, they're the companies that we work with. So we'll work for the travel companies directly. They're the ones that pay us. And the candidates are job seekers. So we will have people registering with us that say, can you help me find a job? And we will essentially match them to a job with one of our clients. So it's a job of, you're a real middleman of a sense, because
Mhm.
you're trying to negotiate between the job seeker and the employer. You're arranging interviews, you're selling the job essentially to people, you're telling them about
Yes.
it, you need to know the company, whether that's the right fit for that person, and you need to sell the person into the company as well. So you need to be confident enough to be able to tell a company, this is why you need to interview this person. So actually, I think the role of a recruiter is really invaluable in getting the right people in the right place, but it's a tough job. It's a
Oh,
really
it's so
tough job because
hard.
your product is people, and
Absolutely.
you can't control what they're going to do.
Very unpredictable.
Yeah, and we don't get paid until a person is successfully in a job and has been there for X amount of time.
Yeah, they've got to stay there, haven't they?
Paid, yeah. Otherwise, we have to refund the client. So it's a
Yeah.
strange business model. It's the way that a lot of them do work. It does mean that a lot of the time we can do a load of work and not really get paid.
Mhm.
But then when we do get paid, and we do get some good placements, then it's worth it. So it's
It swings and roundabouts, isn't it? For sure.
it's a job of two halves, peaks and
Yeah.
troughs, we like to call it. So we'll have really good weeks where we do several placements and we're like, oh, thank God, really good week. And then we might have a few weeks where we don't do any.
Yeah.
But it comes, in that time, that's your downtime. That's when you don't give up, because that's the very easy time to go, nothing's working anymore.
Oh, it is.
It's not happening. We're not making any money. But actually, that's the time you need to be working the hardest, because that's when you're trying to get new jobs. You get attracting new candidates. You're building your pipeline. So it's the way it works in most sales jobs, and recruitment's no different. But you accept that your product is people, as I said.
It's so hard. I mean, like I say, you're so good at what you do. You've always been the sister that's been good at sales as well. Even when you used to come with me to craft fairs and stuff, you were the one that would always sell the stuff quicker. Like, I'd just be stood there behind the store and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll make it," and then you would bring the people over and you would go, "Just touch it." just hold it. What about this? And then they will buy it. Like, I
Yeah.
remember you saying you've got to get them to hold it and touch it and feel
Yeah.
it. And that's when they will be committed to it,
Yeah.
But you have always been really good at sales. And I think that's why you're so good at what it is that you do now. And
Mm.
in a non-salesy way as well. Like,
Yeah,
it's important when you've got a service-based business, isn't it? To be like
it
that, to
is.
be approachable.
And I think that's it. Sales is traditionally seen as such a dirty word.
Yeah.
Don't say you're in sales. God,
Everyone will hate you. Try and make
most
you
of us
buy
are in
something.
sales. At the end of the day, most of us do a job where we are
Awesome.
needing to sell a product. We're not doing
Yeah.
it for whether that product is a physical product or a service or whatever. We're not doing it for the fun of it.
Yeah.
We're doing it to make money. It's how you do it. And I am not a cold salesperson. I
Mm.
would not pick up a phone to a company. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that, really. I have done it in the past, but it's not my forte. My forte is relationships and is
Yes.
building relationships and getting to know people and getting them to like and trust me, which I think is really important. And
Oh, it's crucial, isn't it?
yeah, and I like to think that I uphold that trust as well. I don't suck them in and then that's it, use them and spit them out. I
Exactly.
genuinely, and Caroline, both of us, I think the premise of our business is we both do really care about what we do. We don't want to put somebody in the wrong job. We don't want to find a company the wrong employee. That's not of no benefit to anybody. So
No, absolutely. And then you as self, having known that when you've been in a job that you've not been happy with,
yeah,
there's a lot of people who listening may be in that position at the minute.
yeah,
It's not a nice feeling, so you don't want to put people
no.
in that position.
No, absolutely not. And we'll help, we help people get out of that situation
Yeah,
more than
exactly.
anything. So yeah, we launched in 2017, which was only 3 months really after Mum died. And I
That's
know you
right. Yeah.
Mum passing away in a previous podcast. And I think weirdly for me, I think it was the only time that I might have actually found the gusto to do it because I didn't really
Mm,
care about a lot of things at that time. I was really struggling after Mum died, and I just thought, okay, let's give this a go. It was a distraction. It was
yes.
something to, I wasn't overthinking it, I
And
think.
that's it. I was going to
Yeah,
say we're overthinkers, and you're right, because
yeah,
at that point in our lives, everything else didn't matter.
yeah,
So if it failed, so
yeah.
what?
Oh, well, I
The
tried.
worst thing that could
Yeah,
possibly have happened to us had happened.
yeah, exactly.
So nothing else mattered.
No, and it gave me a bit of a focus, and I just felt like I needed to do something that I was good at again.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I'd shown Mum before she died. I'd shown her the logo for the
Oh, did
company.
you? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
we'd been planning it for a few months. Obviously, me and Karen had been planning it for probably about a year almost before we actually did it. But I'd shown Mum the logo, and I said, "What do you think?" And she said, I showed her a couple of different versions, and she said, "Go bright," because that's like you. It's like you. She said, "Go bright," and I was like,
Really?
"Yeah." And so she sort of saw the logo. That was really all she knew about it, really, because it was after that things really started going. But she saw
Yeah.
it, so it makes me feel a little bit better that she did see it. But
She was part of it. Yeah,
yeah, she knew I was
absolutely.
going to do it. She knew I was going to do it. Whether she thought I'd be any good, I don't know. Probably not.
Our mum was very honest, wasn't she?
Very honest.
Like, so honest. I mean,
Yeah.
we come from a long line. I'd like to say long line. I don't know how many people in the past with entrepreneurs. I was going to say we've got
Yeah.
entrepreneurship on our blood, haven't we? But
Yeah.
mum herself,
Wasn't.
apart from mum, she used to avoid work at all costs.
Yeah.
Apparently, when she was younger, didn't she? Was it grandma or her neighbour that used to say that she
Yeah.
used to skive work and be sunbathing in the back
Oh yeah.
garden?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. It was never her passion, was it?
No,
Really?
it wasn't.
It wasn't to work. She had a role in the home, and she did that
Yes.
amazingly well. But she didn't have the same sort of passion that maybe me and you have. So
Well, she
um,
wanted it for us, didn't she? She
she
often used to
did.
say she wanted it
Yeah.
for us.
She wanted us to have good careers, I think, and do things. But I know she would have said it was a risk, and it was.
Yeah,
But you
of
know,
course.
you don't get anywhere if you don't take a risk sometimes, do you? So you've got to.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we started it in October 2017 and just got on with it, really. And we'd agreed to work 3 days a week each. So we both work on a Monday, and then I do Tuesday, Friday, and Caroline does Wednesday, Thursday. So it gave us that balance because we had the young children, so we still
Of
wanted to
course.
be at home for a couple of
Yeah,
days a week. And it meant we could do the nursery pickups and drop-offs. We could, when one of them was sick, we could still stick our laptop on and have a sick child sleeping on the sofa next to us, and we could do a bit of work. And it just felt right.
Definitely.
You
It's the
know,
only option when you
yeah,
are a parent now and you've got young children, unless you just get a retail job or, reception or admin, something that works around the kids, it's no other option. Like that is the motivation, I think, for both of us for working for ourselves, isn't it? That, it
it
gives us that
was.
flexibility.
And as well, I think, I'm a person that likes to do things a certain way,
Yeah.
and I don't really like being told what to do. I know that sounds yeah, sounds awful, but if I'm working for somebody else and I don't agree with the practices and I'm having to do them, I don't feel comfortable with that. And I thought really the only way for me is to do it myself, is to work for myself, because I
Yeah.
can't see how I'm ever going to agree with with other people on these things.
Yeah.
And
Their ways of working.
we had a clear way. Me and Caroline had a clear way of how we wanted to operate, and that is how we still operate now, nearly 7 years on. So
Well, you've
yeah,
got a great ethos, the pair of you. You work for people, like you get to know them, don't you? Their
yeah,
personalities. And I love that about you, about your
mm,
company. It's very friendly,
yeah,
and that's what
yeah.
people want. They don't want to speak to some just cold recruiter that doesn't care. And that's what I feel like with you two is the
They don't want to
difference.
feel like a number, and
No.
that's part of our job, is making people feel like individuals, because they
Yeah,
are. And I'm fascinated by people, so I love hearing their stories and they're talking about
me
their
too.
life. And yeah,
Definitely.
I probably ask loads of questions, and they probably think, why she want to know all this? But I find that the conversation is, and I share as well. I don't
Yes.
ask questions in a sort of interrogative way. I'm sharing about my life, and we get to know each other. So I think that really works. But yeah, we've been going nearly 7 years now, and it's been,
Fantastic.
yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic. And, like you're saying, getting to know people, same with anybody who's listening who's got their own business, the key to building up like
Mm,
a solid, foundation of customers and
mm,
people that trust you is by getting to know them, because once they know you and you know them, they trust you, and then
yeah,
they're more likely to buy your product or service. And again, it's not because you're not taking money off people because, you've got any bad intentions. You're doing it because you've got a service and they want that service.
yeah,
And that's nothing to
absolutely.
feel bad about. So, we have to remove this guilt, I think, of worrying if people will pay for our things and our services and
Mm,
our products, and go with it, because, getting to know people as well
mm.
is the key. It really is the key to building a successful business, and being very personable. And I think you have that in droves.
Oh,
And
thank
so does Caroline. It's okay. Um, I wanted to talk to you actually about working from home
yeah.
because a lot of people, especially after COVID, I've been working from home now, and it's changed the whole landscape, hasn't it, of
Mm.
working really. And I think everybody was expected to have space to work from home. And I just
Exactly.
like your story about how you manage it, because I know you've recently had a loft conversion, which I'm dying to see. I've yet to come because
I
one thing or
know.
another. Can't believe I've not seen the kids' new bedrooms, but I will
Oh,
be there as soon as I can be for a guided tour.
oh,
But you did it to give you some space, didn't you? To free up the box room, which your little one Kit was
mm.
in. Um, and then obviously your husband works from home. So, but he's taxed the box room, hasn't he, now, as his office?
Yeah, that was meant to
So,
be mine, but the thing is, before COVID, he was in the office 5 days a week. I was at
yeah.
home working on the kitchen table, absolutely fine. No one else in the house. Didn't
Yeah.
It's fine. Then that obviously all happened, and he then worked from home as well. Now we've got 3 children, and we had a 3-bedroom house that 2 of them were sharing. We were in one room, and then we had a box room, which the baby went in.
Yeah.
Um, so there was no other space except at the kitchen table with me. So,
A pair of you used to rock up there, didn't you?
we were, both of us were working on the kitchen table for a
Mm.
couple of years after that. And it was really difficult because he needs some big equipment for his job, double computer screens. We didn't have anywhere else to put that.
No.
We both talk a lot in work. My job, I'm on the phone a lot. He is as well. So we'd have to keep going out the room when one person was on the phone. And it really blurred the lines between our work and life balance.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he was still working past sort of dinner time. So I'd be trying to do
Mm.
in the same room. The kids were coming in from school and nursery, and it was just chaotic.
And when they were off during COVID, they were there anyway
Oh,
in the
well,
house,
yeah, they
weren't
were
they? I
there.
mean,
Even worse.
oh my
Yeah,
God.
awful. Trying to homeschool the older one. Yeah,
It's a time not to remember, isn't it? It was so
he was only
stressful.
5. Yeah, and then
Oh.
oh God,
But
no,
are you still at the
no, he's
kitchen
a bit older.
table? Are you still working at the kitchen table at the
I
moment?
am. Yeah,
Yeah.
I am. But
Yeah.
now we had the loft conversion. We needed the extra bedroom anyway, but also it's freed up the box room. So now that is my husband's office, and he's up there and he's all set up there, and I'm still downstairs. So I've got my space back. Would it be nice to have an office? Yeah,
One
maybe.
day. Oh,
Does it
one day.
does it stop? Not a physical office, but if I had a little office room, if I had something in the house, would it be nice? Yeah, it would. But it's not going to happen in this house, and that's just the way it is. It doesn't stop me. I can't let it stop me from being productive.
No, and luckily for you, you'd only need your laptop and a phone, don't you, to
Yeah.
do your job as well. So that's,
Mm,
you've not got loads of sort of equipment or craft equipment
no, I
or
don't.
anything like that.
No, I couldn't do it if
No.
like the stuff that you've got for vintage to it. You need a separate room for that. I
Yeah,
don't.
definitely.
I can essentially work from anywhere, but it's just almost like though you're in your kitchen and I'm sat there now and I'm looking around and I'm thinking, oh God, I need to clean, need to tidy up.
Yeah.
Stuff's not been put away from breakfast. Oh, what's that doing over there? What are my feet on here? An old pen on the floor.
Yeah,
It's
standing on a
like,
piece of Lego.
yeah,
Hello.
I do still have to set up my workspace for the day. So I have to make sure when I come in before I log on that all that's away,
Yes,
because
me too.
otherwise it's distracting me. And, it's that kind of thing. You've still got to get in your work zone no matter where
Oh,
you're working from.
you do. It's so important. I went in my studio this morning and I had a princess dress under my desk. I had a pair of
Mm,
knickers hanging off the back of the chair.
mm,
Like, I think if I'm doing any Zoom calls, what people are going
mm.
to think? I have to remove them all. And even if I just shove them in the bedroom and close the
Yeah,
door, you have to get your workspace to get in that frame of
yeah,
mind,
you
get in
do.
the zone, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You do.
Um, and obviously we've got school holidays we're going to talk a little bit about
Mm,
juggling it all as a mum as well. We've got the school holidays to deal with. The summer, I am dreading the summer. I don't
I
know what's going to
know.
happen this year. But I don't know about you, but I try and do some TV time. This is, if anyone's listening with young children, you obviously have your own ways of how you manage work from home when they're off school. But I try and do a little bit of TV time, but my daughter's not really into TV, so she always wants to play, and it's really
Mm,
hard. But if I do manage that kind of hour or half hour when I'm on the sofa next to her to do a bit of research or emails, the second I sit down, I just hear the dreaded words, "I'm hungry," so I'm up
mm.
again, and then or I need a poo. And then I'm up again, or my favourite one, which I said the other day, "Oh, my eyelashes hurt, mummy. I need you." Your eyelashes hurt. Right, okay. So with you, like obviously, and a lot of people, you've got 3 kids, you've got 3 different schedules. I mean,
Yeah.
how the hell do you do it in school holidays? How do you do it?
Oh God. Well, I mean, school holidays, school days, all of it is difficult, really. Essentially my day really condenses between, 9:30 and 2:30.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Is
not a
when
lot
I
of
get
time.
no, is when I get the core of my work done. I can do some when they get home, but like you say, it's hit and miss. And sometimes there
Hmm.
are clubs after school for one or two of them and things, but it's a real juggle. And
Yeah,
it isn't easy, and the school holidays are always right. We've got to plan them out. What we're doing this day, what we're doing that day. When can I work? And I think that me and Caroline and I, as the years have gone on, we've just got a bit more realistic about what we can actually manage. And
definitely. It's so important to be realistic.
yeah,
100%
and
agree.
if that is a little bit detrimental to the business, if it does mean that we don't do quite as well those couple of months, or we have to turn down work, then we have to do that, because at
Yeah,
the moment our children are still so dependent on us, and we can't do everything. You can't do everything. And
no, it's
it's
admitting that, isn't it? It's
yeah,
knowing that.
it is. And it's being kind to yourself and going, do you know what? I am doing what I can do. I'm doing the absolute best. I'm maximizing the time that I've got. But there does come a point when I am responsible also for these children. I don't have a huge network around to be
Yeah.
able to just take them. As I was saying to you before, if I was to put mine in holiday clubs,
Oh my gosh,
around
yeah.
here, £30 to £40 a day per person.
I
You
just,
know, I
oh,
mean, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to spend £120 a day on a
no.
because I don't have it, and they probably won't refuse to go in the morning anyway. So,
I mean,
I've got no qualms about using telly,
no,
tablets, whatever for a bit of the day. We have an agreement. If you do that in the morning while I do my work, then after lunch we'll do something together. And I'll
yeah,
sign off for the afternoon. Then I'll just keep an eye on anything urgent. But I've done a half my day, so that's fine. And I feel like that's really the only way for us to manage it in holidays, where I come to an agreement. Now it's a bit easier as your kids get older. Mine
yes,
two now are 10 and 8,
yeah.
and the youngest one's only 4, so he's still difficult and doesn't always go with the rules.
He's
But
a rebel, is Kit.
yeah,
A true
yeah,
rebel.
yeah. He's very full on, and so it is a bit harder with him. But again, I have to remember he's only 4, and
Yeah.
he doesn't understand when Mummy's on a call. He still wants to show me something on his tablet that he wants for his birthday. And he'll just stand next to me, just pointing at it, and I'm going, shh. But to be honest, I just say to people now, I say before the call, if I'm on the call, I say, listen, I've got my kids at home with me today. It's school holidays, so if we get interrupted, I'm really sorry. And again, that's part of me just being who I am, and I'm a business owner, but I'm a mum, and
that's right, and that's what makes you so personable.
Yeah,
People appreciate it when you're honest with them and you say it.
I don't apologise for it anymore. I think
No.
there was a time where I wouldn't have even alluded to the fact that I had children. Never mind that I was going off finishing at 2:30 because I was going to go and see a performance in the school hall. I would have said, "Oh, I've got a meeting." Make me sound more professional. Now I'll say, I'm finishing at 2:30 because I'm going up to school, but I'll be back on at 4, and I'll call you then. And I think
that comes with age as well, doesn't it? And confidence.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you're older than me, a couple of years older, and we've both think since to hit 40. I don't care as much as I used to about what people think about me. I used to care a lot. And obviously, in terms of business, I do. Obviously, my clients and my customers for Vintage Tree are so important to me, and I care what they think. But generally, I mean, I just have to do what's right for me, in order to stay above board, really, and just keep going, because it's hard. It's so hard being a working mum, especially when we were discussing before that kids have 13 weeks a year.
Yeah.
13 weeks. Like, we don't get that annual leave.
Even if you work for someone else full time, you get maximum 5-6 weeks a year.
Absolutely.
That's it, really. So you've got, if you're lucky enough to have a support network around you, but even then, not everybody's parents are around or able to look after them or want to, people don't always have it. And younger ones in particular are more difficult, aren't they? Because you can't really let them go off on play dates all day on their own. You need to be there. And
of course,
it is hard. So, we do, my husband and I will try and take some time together, and but the majority of it does fall to me, and that's just the way it is. So
I think it is for a lot of women, isn't it? We do the lion's share of everything, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's employed, so again, he's restricted to those few weeks of annual leave, whereas I am more flexible, and I think that is the huge, the biggest benefit of having my own business is that is possible, and I can make things work for me. I can run the day around how I need it to be run, and I can do all those things that I would have to ask somebody else if I could do.
Oh, yeah.
Have to ask.
I hate that now. Yeah. I hate that, would you?
Funny enough, I do remember the company that Caroline and I were at. When it came to annual leave one year, everyone used to get in the dates early. They put the year's annual leave in. And at that time, when we didn't have any kids, I was thinking, God,
I know. Why are they doing that?
Yeah. But then I started noticing, they were all booking school holidays. And because we had a policy where only 2 people could be off at the same time, I was thinking, well, hang on a minute, what about when I have my kids? And how am I going to be off at the same time then? I'm not,
You'd be competing. You're competing all the time.
All of a sudden, the reality of it, dawns that you actually might not get that time off work. Then what do you do? And it just... Exactly. So, there's always these little things, I suppose, that over the years kind of niggled away at me, like, how am I going to manage that? What about that? And eventually pushes you into a decision.
It does. And that's it, just getting forced into it. I don't want that lifestyle for me. I want this lifestyle. I want to be in control. I mean, that's a real good benefit of having your own business. But I know that you've had a massive challenge lately with your business. Something happened, didn't it, that completely shook you. And basically you were victims of identity fraud.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened? Oh my God, that must have been, I even think about it now, like, it's just terrifying because it's still sort of ongoing, isn't it? But
so I think we've just been unlucky, really. Unfortunately, the more visible you are sometimes on social media, the more you are susceptible to people thinking that you are bigger than you are.
That's right.
And we do a lot of work on social media, on LinkedIn particularly. We advertise our jobs on websites and things like that. So our name got picked up by scammers somewhere. And they posted a YouTube video that we were able to help people come into the UK with visas and sponsorship. It's not something we can do.
No.
Not we don't, we're not involved in that. We cannot do it. Anyway, this video was on YouTube. We started getting, hundreds and hundreds of applications from people all around the world asking for visas. We had to keep replying saying, "No, I'm really sorry." And we're like, "What the hell is going on?" And then we found this video, and by that time it had been probably replicated several times. It was on across several different other channels as well. And it wasn't just us. There was other agencies mentioned who also don't do it. We'd just been unlucky. Anyway, that went on for a while, and it was really distracting, I think, for us, because we weren't able to get on with what we were supposed to be doing. We were fending off calls and emails, and the ultimate aim for the companies that post it, the scammers, is that they're trying to get people to sign up to something, and then eventually get them on a portal and tell them they can transfer money to them. And it's a well-known recruitment scam, but it's unfortunate for us. We've been dragged into it. So yes, it's still going on. People are getting texts now, but now they're people in the UK claiming to be from our company. So we've had to take measures. We haven't actually done anything wrong, and there's been no data breach with our clients or candidates. It's nothing that we've actually done. It's just our name.
It's all new. Yeah, it's just your name. It's all bringing in new people that you obviously didn't want.
Everybody's been lovely, but it's distracting. But I think it's a lesson that you're going to get things like this in business. It's not smooth sailing. You're going to have times when you come up against challenges and you don't know what to do, and it seems huge and scary. And it has been really huge and scary for us, because we were wondering, is this, are we going to have to shut the business down? Because what's going on here? We're getting targeted and we're being told that we're scammers, and and there's nothing to do with us.
Obviously you've got signs on your website now that pops up when to let people know that this is what's happened. It's died down a bit, hasn't it?
It has, but it's out there, so it could come up at any point, really. But there's nothing we can do. We've spoken to numerous people at various fraud places, including the police, and there's nothing we can do. It's the onus now apparently is on the person receiving a text or an email to check the validity of where that's come from, and if they choose to spend money or sign up to something, that's on them, not on the scammer, which is obviously totally wrong. But it just means we've all got to be very aware online.
We do.
But we've not shied away from talking about it across our social channels as well, because we've had to.
That's the right thing to do. You need to educate people so that they're aware of it, and then they know.
That's it. And I think when these challenging times do come in a business, which I say you will get, you've got to try and reverse that. And there was a point that I was just thinking, everything we're putting out there is so negative. It's all that we've been a target of this, and it's miserable, and oh God, it's awful. So now it's like, we're going to take this and we're going to try and educate people on, being aware of online scams. And so we'll talk about it, and we'll say these are things
that's a really good idea.
because we can't do anything about it. We can't stop it. It will go away, like everything else. It will die down. But it was something that challenged us because it took our focus away. And that reflected in the work that we were doing, no doubt about it. In our concentration, in our mindset, in our upset as well. We were upset, both of us. And
because this overwhelming sense of responsibility, it falls on you when you've got your own business, doesn't it?
There's no one to pop it off to. There's no one to go, deal with this. This is coming in. And here's a load of calls. We're going to divert them to somebody who can answer them while we're doing our job. No, we're answering them. We're dealing with it. Multiple calls, texts, emails. So
we did fantastic. It was so hard for you. I really did feel for you when that was going on. No, it's not. And I mean, you mustn't let these challenges put you off when you run a business. Like we said, it takes true grit. It takes resilience. You've got to develop a really hard skin. I mean, I'm sure you haven't forgotten about the time when I got in some bother with a photographer. I mean, obviously your husband was fabulous and he helped me out with a situation that happened to me, and it was probably something it happened again. I think it was about 3 months after Mum had died as well. So I was like really vulnerable, and basically this photographer had emailed Vintage Twee and said that I'd used a picture of his picture on one of my blogs, which I had, but I didn't realize that I'd credited him. But it was in a way that it wasn't suitable for him. It wasn't clear enough. Anyway, long story short, he threatened to take me to court, and there was back and forward with all these emails. It was ridiculous, wasn't it? What this
I
guy
think
was
you'd got
saying.
it from somewhere else and you'd credited them, but
Oh, that's right. Yes,
they hadn't credited him, so you didn't know where the original picture had
that's
come from
right.
anyway. So you'd credited the place
Yes.
you'd got it from.
That's right. So I got it from someone's blog and said,
Yeah,
picture courtesy of X,
yeah,
Y, and Z blog. Yes, correct. That was right. So then he came down hard on me. And I'm sure he probably contacted this blog as well. Anyway, he was trying to make some quick money, wasn't he?
yeah,
But these letters he was sending were threatening. They were awful, absolutely awful. He was sending them to my house, to my parents' house. Mum had just died. Dad was getting them. And in the end, it was Emma's husband that stepped in because he had quite a high profile lawyer as part of his company that he worked for at the time, didn't he? Who
mm,
was kind enough to draft us a letter to this guy. Anyway, he backed off once he received this letter. But I remember being so frightened, and I just wanted to shut everything down. I just thought, I
mm,
can't do this anymore. Like, you're so exposed when you run your own business, aren't you, to things that
yeah,
can go wrong. But the difference between people that succeed and fail are the ones who just keep going
yeah.
regardless. And I
But
think that's what we have always done.
any bit of negativity, anything that challenges you, that when people don't like something that you've done, or you get a bad review or anything like that, or someone once withdrew their CV from me and said, you haven't found me a job in the 2 weeks that I've had my CV registered with you. This is not how I expect recruitment to be done, blah, blah, blah.
Really?
Yeah. I said, oh, well, see you then. Thanks.
How
What
rude.
am I supposed to say to that? That's not
I
how it
know.
works.
2 weeks
It's
is
not,
nothing.
yeah, it's not how it works. And,
No,
but you're always going to get that. You're never going to be everything to everyone. You're not
no,
always going to be everyone's cup of tea. And, some people will have expectations on how you run your business, or what you should do and what your product should be like. And, you will get some negativity, but it doesn't mean that you have to stop. It doesn't mean you're not good at what you do at all. And
absolutely.
it's getting into that, like you with that, it was a something that shook you because it was confrontational and it was
Yeah,
scary, and it was like, oh my God, have I done something wrong? You not intentionally pilfering people's pictures,
absolutely. I wasn't making any
anyway.
money off it.
No, we all know, but you thought you'd done the right thing. And I think sometimes, mistakes are mistakes, and
Yeah,
you rectified it straight away. I'm so sorry, I'll take it down, but no, it's just some
it was,
people, at the end of the
yeah.
day, some people are just awful.
They
And
are. They're
they
just
are,
completely unreasonable.
yeah, unreasonable, awful people. And that's the way it is. And you're going to always come up against them. We come up against them now.
Yeah.
Anyone in business does. Anyway, even when you work for someone
Well,
else, you do. It's
you
just now
do.
you've got to deal with them yourself.
Well, one thing I want to touch on before we finish is that the struggle that we have as women in business now. I know, like that was an example. I felt quite targeted as a woman by this person, and I felt that he probably wouldn't have done that if it was a man. And he came to me in a way, and the way that he spoke to me was very aggressive. He wouldn't even pick up the phone to me. Actually, this was all done on email. But
Hmm.
with your business, obviously, it's quite a male-dominated industry, isn't it? Really, with the sort of the CEOs, the higher-up people,
Yeah,
and I
I'd say
think,
it's female dominated in the lower levels, but
yeah,
and again, I strongly believe that is because of lack of opportunities
yeah,
for women post family life. So,
definitely.
women in our industry will build up a career, but then have to go off, and there's lack of opportunity for them to come back part time.
Yeah,
Lack of flexibility. So a lot of the people at the top are men.
yeah,
Um,
they can't work their way up. The women can't
no,
actually do it.
no.
And I know that you've had problems, haven't you, in the past with the way that you've been spoken to
Mm.
by males in the industry. And again, would they do that if it was a female that do you know what I mean? If it was another male,
It's
sorry, that they were talking to, probably not. And
it's
it's
been
hard.
more challenging, more
Yeah,
around pricing really, and
yeah,
questioning. Well, also couple of them questioning our conduct on more than one occasion, and which is really actually totally ridiculous, because we conduct ourselves so well in the world
Yeah,
of
so
business.
professional.
Yeah, and I don't think it's too much to expect to be paid on time. I don't think it's too much to expect to be paid fairly, and to not
Absolutely.
have to work for nothing, or
They
to
wouldn't. They would not.
reduce our fee just because they tell us to, or that's what everybody else is doing. Okay, well,
Yes.
let them then. If you want to work with, you're coming to me to work with me, so don't ask me to then reduce my fee.
Right.
Be in line with everybody else that you don't want to work with. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we've got stronger on that. And again, at the beginning, that was really tough. And I think for anybody in business at the beginning, setting yourself up on what to sell your services at, or your products at, is hard. And knowing to stick with that and to know your worth is invaluable,
It
because
so is.
because you will get pushed on it, you will get challenged on it, but are you the same as everybody else? No. Do they want to work with you as a person or buy your product? Yes. Then unfortunately they got to pay for it.
You
So
do. And that's it. You can go with anyone. Someone else could do what you're doing. Obviously, there's
yeah,
a lot of recruiters, there's a lot of
good.
people making wedding stationery, there's a lot of coaches out there, but do they like you? And and nobody is you. You are unique. And that is what people buy into. So
Yeah, that's
that's
it.
what you have to remember.
At the end of the day, there's loads of people doing what you do. You're never going to come up with something that is so unbelievably unique. I do
No.
recruitment. Do I do recruitment better than everybody else on the planet? No. I don't
Yeah.
claim to either. I do a good job at what I do, and I'm nice to work with. And, that's that. And, these are my fees. And if you're happy to pay it, then great. If you're not, okay, we're not the right partner for you this time. And there will be, there are some things you can be flexible on, of course, and it is a bigger picture as well. We always look at the bigger picture. Do we want a long-term relationship with this client? Yes. Let's try and come to an agreement on what works for everybody here. But it's about not allowing yourself to be pushed down so low that you can never get back up, because that is
That's
what
right.
happens.
It does.
People will push you and push and push you on your prices, and then you go down to something you're not comfortable with that one time, but then they come back for more.
Yes. It's
Oh, you did it
expected,
that
isn't
last
it?
time. You did it last
Yeah.
time. Okay.
And you spend your whole time resenting working with them then. I know I
Yeah.
do. If I get pushed so low, I won't let it happen anymore, but I used to.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think, why am I doing this?
they don't respect you, do they? And you're not going into it on an equal. You're not going into it as a partnership. And I think no matter what you do and who you sell to, it needs to be on a partnership level. Even if it's a quick sale,
Yes.
they need to know what they're getting from it, and you need to know what you're getting, and that's being paid, and a product if it's a product, or a harmonious working relationship if it's a service. So yeah, it's definitely just being aware of that and being confident enough to stand your ground, really.
Definitely. I've got a podcast episode on this if anyone wants to go back a few weeks, called Unapologetic Pricing. And I think it's a really good one. It's had a lot of listens so far, and I think it's because people can relate to the fact that, it's hard. It's the hardest thing, deciding your price and being confident in communicating it.
Yeah.
But you have to do it if you're running a business.
And
Otherwise it's not
it's okay
business.
to say no.
Yeah.
People can ask. We sometimes get, like, we send our fees over and then they'll come back and go, okay, can you do it at this? And, we'll sit down and we'll think about everything. And then, sometimes the answer is no.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then we just go, look, I don't apologize for it. I don't go, I'm really sorry, I can't. I don't say I'm sorry.
What do
I
you
just
say?
go,
What do you say?
I'll just say, these are the prices, basically.
Yeah.
We're not able to. Don't apologise. I'll just say we're not able to lower the rate.
Yeah, you're right.
Don't. Sometimes I justify
I
it.
love that.
Why not? And it will be, it's a tricky role to fill. It's really time consuming. You've already had it out with 3 other agencies who haven't filled it. It's cost us money to advertise on job boards, and it's time. But people don't always see the value in time, and I think that's where, particularly like when you've got handmade products and stuff like you, they don't see how long that takes you to make it.
They don't. And this is what I was saying.
Factored into the cost, yeah.
100%. You have to educate people on it so they know what work you're doing behind the scenes, all the time. So finally, have you got any advice for the women out there listening who are thinking about taking the plunge? They want to start their own business, they're scared, they're not sure, we're making excuses, we're procrastinating, which is our favorite thing to do. They're probably fully capable, but they just don't want to take that first step. So have you got any advice to give them that push over the edge? Make them do it. Come on, Let's hear some pearls of wisdom.
Oh God, I haven't got any of them. But I think, because to be fair, it's something I still work on all the time.
Yeah,
Just because you have an established business doesn't mean you don't feel the fear. Doesn't
absolutely.
mean that you don't worry or think you can't do it. It doesn't go away just when you start a business. It's still very much there.
Yeah.
Like, you've talked before about imposter syndrome and all of that. That is still there.
Oh,
I
it's so
think,
real. I'm
yeah,
14 years in, and I still have it.
I think it's. I like to think like I'm terrible for always thinking what's the worst that could happen.
Yeah,
And I think really think to yourself, okay, what's the best that could happen? And what's the most likely thing that will happen? And they're very
that's
different
so
things.
good.
They're very, very different things. You've got your worst case scenario. Oh, it all goes, wrong and you don't make any money. And after a year, you've got to stop. Right. Okay. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, it just absolutely flies and you're retired on your yacht in the Caribbean within the next 10 years. Brilliant, great.
That's what I'm waiting for still.
Exactly, me too. But the reality is that you'll probably do okay.
Yeah, you'd be
You will
somewhere in the middle.
you will be somewhere in the middle. You may have dips, you may have peaks like we do, but if you've got the guts to get it going and to try, and you have to commit, you can't do it
You do.
half-heartedly, and that is the
No,
thing. It isn't easy, and it's not something you can just dip in and out of when you feel like it and
no.
expect results. You can't, and
You
it's
want results, you have to make them happen, don't you?
to be consistent.
Yeah,
You've got to show up. You've got to, when the days you don't feel like it, you've got to do it anyway.
you
Bar
do.
occasion when everyone has days and they're just like, what, can't. I've
Yeah,
noticed my best results when I am consistent on social media, and even when I feel like, oh God, I've got nothing to do or say, and I don't always want to have to share everything, but sometimes you just have to do it.
yeah,
But when I'm consistent and when I'm focused and when I come in and I know they're my working hours and I get on with it and I write lists and I do the jobs that I need to do that day and I don't put off the tasks that I don't want to do. So
absolutely. That's a big one, isn't it? They
yeah.
build up.
But I think just think realistically about the situation. If anyone's listening to this, chances are that they're almost there, aren't they? They're at the
Absolutely.
point when they want to do
Yeah,
it and they can see their future. They can
yes.
see how it can work. When I passed my drive, one last pearl of wisdom for you. I've got one. When I was learning to
I knew there's
drive,
one in there.
when I was learning to drive, it took me over a year, right? And I was useless. Couldn't get the hang of the clutch. Just kept stalling it everywhere. I switched to a different driving teacher who then taught you as well, didn't she?
Jill. Oh God,
She was
yeah.
a bit
There's
scary.
Jill.
Yeah, shouted at me more than once.
Yeah, me too.
But she was the one that I came on in leaps and bounds with. And
Yeah.
the guy that I'd had before, I'd been 8 months or something and could still stall in it every roundabout. But I remember saying to myself, everybody else can drive. Why can't I? There is no reason that I can't do this. No reason at all. But I don't think that I'm with the right person. I don't think that I'm with someone that is a good influence on me and is teaching me. So,
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people that will push you forward, that will drive you, really,
Yeah, that will
literally
help you.
drive you forward, that will help you and
Definitely.
encourage you, because sticking with someone that won't, or sticking in your own thought, your own mind, trapped in your own mind of wanting to do something so bad but not having the courage to do it, you need to be around people that can help you do that, because that's invaluable. And I know obviously it's something that you're doing and you're working on in your group and the programs that you offer. But if you're, Caroline and I are lucky we've got each other.
Exactly, you
But I
have.
think
That's
for
so important.
a lot of people, but even that, we've still had coaching. We've still had some coaching over the years.
Have you? Wow.
Yeah, we've still reached out to people and had lessons and, bits of direction when we've gone, especially during COVID, when we didn't know what we were
That's
going to do.
it. Well, I think that's it. And it's having that support that's not it's outside of family and friends, because, family and friends are great. They're all well and good, but they'll probably always tell you what you want to hear most of the time.
Yeah.
Whereas a professional or someone that's been in your shoes, they
Yeah.
can give you some proper advice that is going to move you forward rather
And
than just keeping
it's
you
harder to
treading
take
water.
it's harder to take that feedback off family and
It
friends
is,
as well
definitely.
without taking it personally. That's why people don't teach their family to drive. You know,
So,
there you
do
go.
you remember that? Mum used to
No,
say, your dad's never going to teach you to
oh,
drive.
no, it wouldn't have
Right.
worked. You
No.
wouldn't have took criticism off him. He wouldn't have spoke to us in the way that the driving instructor would, you know, and explain things. At the end of the day, they're trained professionals, so they're teaching
Yeah,
you in a certain way. And it's the same with anything. You know, you
it
need the
is.
right people to guide you. So, yeah, I
And
would
the key
say,
to success.
but I would say don't doubt yourself. I would say that other people can do it. You can do it as well. There is no reason that you can't. The only thing that will stop you is yourself and your mindset.
Absolutely.
And it's about changing that. And it's not easy, but it can be done.
It can. I love that. Oh, what a lovely way to finish. Before we
Ooh.
do finish, though, I just want to say that Emma and Caroline have a new podcast themselves, which
Oh
is so
yeah.
exciting because I listened to the first episode and I absolutely loved it. You were really self-critical about it, weren't you, boy? It was brilliant. It was so
Mm,
good. She introduced herself and Caroline did, and Caroline invented a load of new words. No.
yeah.
Really, you get really nervous talking sometimes. It was really, really natural and funny. And I learned a lot about the business that I didn't know as well about
Mm,
Caroline. I just found it really interesting. But anyway, the new podcast that Emma and Caroline have got is, I'm guessing, is it just called Urbanberry? I don't know
yeah,
what the name of the actual
just called the Urbanberry
podcast is.
podcast. Yeah, I
The
mean, it's,
Urbanberry podcast.
you know, we've only done one episode. It'll be largely centering around what we do and who we are as people. But yeah, you never know, you might find it interesting.
Yeah, definitely. What platforms is it on at the moment? Is it just Spotify at the moment?
Yeah, you'll have to tell me how to do the rest of them. I'm
I
always
will book
asking you.
you. You can book me in.
Oh
I'll
God.
do. Yeah, we need to get
Stop.
you on a few more, don't we, as well, so we
Yeah.
can reach as many people as possible. So yeah, the Urban Bay podcast. Go check it out. It's really cool. But thanks so much for coming on. It's been
Thank
dead
you.
nice. It's been really good, and it meant that we could have a chat for an hour as well. Uh, no
Thank
different to
you.
every other day. But I really hope that everybody has got something from it. Has been inspired by Emma. Obviously, she's had so much going on, and she just does it. She's just such an inspiration because she just never moans and she gets on with it. And I'm really proud for everything that she's achieved.
Oh,
So yeah, it's true.
thank you. Well, likewise.
Oh, thank you. Well, we don't, as we said, we don't, what do we say? Linda's don't quit. So
Linda
Linda
don't
says, I
quit.
made a note, we don't quit. And you shouldn't quit either. If you're thinking about it, you're not going to. So thanks so much, Emma. And yeah, if you've been listening and you've got this far, we're so grateful. And I'll look forward to speaking to you on the next podcast. Thanks a
Perfect.
lot.
Thank you. Good luck,
All right.
everyone.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye. Mine's still saying recording. How'd you stop it?